Great. Well, good evening, everybody. Sat Shri Akal. Sat Shri Akal. Thank you for joining us tonight in an evening of celebration where we are honoring some of the most promising and accomplished professionals in the Sikh community. My name is Kam Kaila. I am the First Lady of the SACC, and I thank you for joining all of us. This event, like the SACC itself, showcases the accomplishments of our brightest and talented Sikh minds, and allows us collectively to honor their brightest vision and their talent. Each year, the SACC grows stronger, and its vision and its mission is being embraced by the community. And you all are a testament to that, and we thank you. Last year, you heard me speak about change, and we talked a lot about it. Change in the mindset of how we perceive each other as a community, not only from a business perspective, but from a personal perspective, and joining together and uniting as one. We all believe in change, and your presence here is a testament to the fact that we, as a collective, can and will make it happen. But I will be honest, it has not been easy, but no road worth traveling ever is. There are many challenges as we grow. It's how we face them and overcome those challenges that define us as a community. The Sikh American Chamber of Commerce is your community, and it needs you to believe in change. For those of you who are already members, thank you. We thank you for believing. For those of you who are not, and no, I will not be tagging each and every one of you, maybe, I'm not quite sure yet. Do your part. Join us. Do your seva for the community. This is a very, very honorable community, and we ask you to join us and help each other. We've come a long way. It was just an idea, and now it's a reality. But the job is not yet done. There are so many barriers yet to conquer. Conquer, overcome, triumph. Key words for the SACC. And tonight, these same words define our speakers. Individuals that have traveled down roads previously foreign to Sikhs and have triumphed, establishing themselves as leaders and inspirations for the Sikh community. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we celebrate. We celebrate our community, the SACC, and the truly exceptional professionals that have honored and brought recognition to the Sikh name. I am now pleased to introduce to you our MC for the evening. He is an exceptionally talented professional, the head of international affairs at Fox News Channel, Fox Business Network, and Fox News Radio. He hosts his own radio show on Fox Radio, is a consultant speaker for the United States Military Academy, and provides consultation to national and private organizations on successful implementation of international projects. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a very loud round of applause for this extremely talented individual, a man that is a leader, an inspiration to our community, our host, Vip Jaswal.
I'm very used to this problem not being very tall. Sat Sri Akal, good evening, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second annual Gala of the Sikh American Chamber of Commerce. Let me warn you, there'll be a lot of clapping because tonight, by the end of this evening, you're going to be informed, inspired, and entertained. We have on stage politicians, leaders, singers, and comedians. So let's start with giving a round of applause to the team responsible for making this happen. Kam, Sunny, Jajit, please stand up. Give them a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much. And tonight we have 4 distinguished guests. The first one, Congressman Frank Pallone Jr., recently sworn in for the 13th full term in the U.S. House of Representatives, proving that 13 can be a lucky number. Mr. Ravinder Singh Bhalla, the councilman at large for Hoboken, and the owner of the Bhalla Law Firm. Is he in? No. Preeti Lamba, the federal conservative candidate of Etobicoke North. Please. And Councilman Vincent Asiola from Helmeta. Thank you to the 3 of you for giving this evening the prestige, the status, and the grace it deserves. Tonight is a significant moment in many ways. We are celebrating the success of the second annual Gala, but we are also celebrating our own success as individuals. Some of us are here as first-generation immigrants, and some of us have the benefit of being the second generation in this great country, America, that is now our home. That's the good news. Unfortunately, though, in America, our identity as a community still confuses our American brothers and sisters. They don't know who we are, what we stand for, and you know something, it's not entirely their fault. It's our responsibility to show them who we really are. Let me share an example of this with you. I showed a photo of a Sikh to some of my American friends, and I said, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Some of them said taxi driver. I didn't really have an issue with that because there's no discrimination in the dignity of labor. Some of them said we related to the Taliban, and that's what really troubled me because not only did they get our status wrong, they got our religion wrong too. This problem only gets worse. I then rang the US Census Bureau because I wanted to know how many of us are in the US. So I spoke to 3 people. The first lady said 78,000 Sikhs in the US, but we're not sure. Then I said, okay, can I speak to your superior? So I spoke to the superior and he said 500,000, but we're not sure. I said, okay, then can I speak to someone in charge of you? He said, okay. So I spoke to another person and I said, well, how many Sikhs? They said, pick a number. The fact of the matter is that we as individuals are successful, but as a community we are relatively unknown. And if you are unknown, you will always be misunderstood. Guru Nanak summed up his teachings in these words: realization of truth is higher than all else, but higher still is truthful living. The real truth today is that the perception of Sikhs in this great country is a lie. If we don't show America the truth of who we really are, then we're really not practicing Guru Nanak's teachings of truthful living. Being part of the Sikh American Chamber of Commerce is a must, and just the beginning. This organization has the ability to show our American brothers and sisters that we are a vibrant, valuable, and productive part of the better America. In our Gurdwaras, we practice langar, where food is served to all visitors regardless of their background. In a similar way, we need to take that concept of langar outside of the Gurdwara by actively donating time and resources to charitable causes and participating in events across American society. Only by giving can we receive. This helps raise the profile of our community and our heritage. It makes for a better world for our children, who are part of the future of America. The time has come to rise above ourselves as individuals and show America that we as Sikhs are American patriots Our children are American citizens, and our families are part of the American community. The time has come for America to know that the Sikh community is a symbol of strength and respect. And America has to know that above all else, the turban is a symbol of honor, courage, and friendship. It's not a symbol of fear and hatred. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We have 9 speakers tonight, and each of them have broken barriers in their own world. They've given us many reasons to be proud of being a Sikh. Excuse me. We need to follow in their footsteps so that they do not walk alone. It's an honor for me to introduce Sunit Singh Tully, founder and CEO of DataWin. Sunit launched the Akash 2 tablet and has been recognized by the United Nations and the Guinness Book of World Records. Forbes magazine recognized him as a classroom revolutionary. And if you wonder why the Apple share price is falling, now you know.
I think I've been given a lot more credibility than I deserve. I assure you that I have no impact on Apple's share price yet. I'll start off by apologizing. I created a presentation that was a lot longer than the time I have. My father once told me that smart people, when they're in the shorter time, get to the point. You just try to talk faster. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to talk faster. I'm supplemented by a presentation that you'll see on the screens in the back. And my talk is intended to sort of talk about my experiences and talk about Sikhi principles as they apply to entrepreneurship. Sikhism is unique. It's not just a religion, it is a way of life. And there are key concepts that form our way of life. And I think that those key concepts actually apply really well to entrepreneurship. And one of the key concepts that's very critical when you start a business is the concept of sarvata bhala. This concept that whatever you do needs to benefit everybody. That you pray on a daily basis for the well-being of everybody is critical. A business is not about making money. A business is about solving a problem, finding a solution to a problem that creates value for somebody. And the moment you create a solution to a problem, money follows. And it's irrelevant of how much you make, as long as you create a valuable solution. If you can go on to the next slide, please. So my experience started back in 1990, right out of university. In those days, prior to the internet, fax was this unique and exciting technology. And my father ran an engineering construction business, and nobody made fax machines for large format documents. And we created the world's first fax machine for large format documents. And that's how my brother and I, we started the business. We're lucky enough to take that venture public on the NASDAQ. The second venture actually started when I was waiting in a dentist's office, and I took a magazine, I ripped a page out of it, and as I was ripping that page out, I saw the dentist sort of looking over me, not very pleased that I was tearing pages out of his magazine. And if you have the same fear of dentists that I do, that was a very scary moment, and I thought, the way to deal with this is you've got to have something that you can carry around, that you can scan pages in. This is prior to the invention of the camera phone. And we created the world's first handheld scanners and products of that nature. And that was venture number 2. Venture number 3 started about 7-8 years ago. In fact, I saw my kids watching a video on YouTube, and they'd searched the words Indian teacher funny. And my kids were watching this video, and they were giggling away. And I won't show you the whole video, but I'd like you to watch about 30 seconds of this. I didn't find it funny, but if you could share this, please. So this is actually a national pastime in India. Camera crews go out into villages and they quiz teachers, or they spot thieving teachers, or they spot a school that has no teachers. And any one day, India has 3,500 schools that have no teachers. No teachers, zero teachers. Parents have sent their kids in there, have no teachers. Go on to the next slide. Just click once more. So I apologize, that chart is difficult to see. Some researchers did a study, take the same test, and gave it to students, and geographically started moving away from Delhi with the same tests, and discovered that the farther you went from Delhi, the marks dropped. So the quality of teachers that you get in rural places diminishes because the living standards in those places are lower. And that is a key problem that we felt that we could solve. We felt that computing and internet access could help create a better quality education where good quality teachers were unwilling to go. In fact, this is a very important statistic. Grades 5 to 8 in India have 43% dropout rates. 43% kids from grades 5 to 8 don't go to school. Grades 9 to 12 have a 68% dropout rate. India very proudly tells you that they have the largest student body in the world with 220 million students. But in that K to 12 age group, in that segment, the number of kids that should be in school is 360 million. There's 140 million kids below the age of 17 that are not in school. So that's my point of pain. That's the problem that we decided we would go and we would try to solve. And we started creating low-cost computing internet devices, and we decided that this was going to be key, that devices of that nature would bring value to that customer. We go on to the next slide. And we discovered, though, that the internet didn't really exist in those sort of rural environments. And we created a platform in which we received 18 US patents to deliver the internet in those environments, and that became part of our overall solution. But then the next issue was pricing. And I think that in Sikhism, the concept of Sacha Sauda, the Sakhis of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and how he practiced business are very essential to what we do. And my intent here isn't to criticize Apple, but remember, Apple today has a cash hoard of 10 years of the Indian education budget. 10 years. Apple has enough cash to give the equivalent of what we do to every student in the world 3 times over. So pricing, in our opinion, is very, very important. And we decided that pricing should be structured in a way that was affordable to our consumer and gave us a reasonable return, didn't give us the maximum return. And this may seem counterintuitive to a business person or an entrepreneur, but to us, volume made a lot more sense. So when we looked at India, it was very important to understand what is the price point that we need to get to for the Indian market. You can just click once, that's it. In the US, we discovered that PCs took off when they were below 20% of monthly income. That's when computers started to be deployed in every household. So we said, great, we've got to create a computer that will be within 20% of monthly income for the average Indian. India gets divided into 4 economic classes, although the pyramid that you see on the side only shows 3 is because the last little dot, the so-called rich that earn more than $2,500 a month, is so small in the overall scheme that and the Excel chart doesn't show up. If you just click once more. To get to the bottom billion people, we needed to be able to create a computing device within $50. That's what that customer would be able to afford. And we decided that that's what we needed to get into our, get our product into. And the result was we created a low-cost tablet computer. We sell to the Indian government for just about $40. We believe that we can drive the cost of these kinds of devices down further very significantly. And as far as features functionality goes, it's a Cortex-A 1 gig processor, the same as the original iPad had. It has 512 megabytes of RAM, double what the original iPad has. And on India's mobile networks, gives you a faster, internet experience on the India's GPRS networks than the iPad. So it's a good enough product for the consumer that we wanted to deliver to. The result was astounding. In fact, Carl Bildt, who was a former Prime Minister of Sweden, the current Foreign Minister, met up with me and tweeted that internet for the billions is coming. This generated a huge amount of publicity globally, so much so that I get privileged to be called to events of this nature and talk about my experiences. In fact, even Forbes decided that we would get recognized in their Impact 15 list. And the idea spread. The idea spread beyond India. India decided that they will have every student in the country equipped with a low-cost computing device. Thailand, the Pheu Thai party, ran an election campaign promising every child to have a computing internet device. Turkey's launched the Fateh project, where they've decided that all 11.7 million students in Turkey will have low-cost computing devices. So think of this as the next arms race. How do countries that don't equip their kids with the same kind of technology and connectivity, how do they compete? But it's not always that easy. There's this concept that's often heard that no good deed goes unpunished. So if you're doing something good, there are a lot of detractors. There are people that don't appreciate you sort of eating their lunch. In fact, the New York Times decided to run a half-page story on us on New Year's Eve, and I can't read that portion of that article, but tough to read from here. But in essence, they said that we don't think that computing internet access positively impacts education. We think actually it'll help marks will drop. I disagree. They're in the wrong century. Computing internet access is key to improve the quality of education throughout the world. In fact, it wasn't just them. Doing business in India is the most difficult thing one can imagine. That's why all of us are here, not sitting there. And there are a lot of anecdotes I can go through, and since I've run out of time, I won't, and I'll just go through the last few slides of what I think is very important. I think it's very important to understand what we consider, or personally I considered, my secret weapon. When I created the world's biggest fax machine back in 1990, we couldn't figure out how to market this product, but I knew I needed to create awareness. And I thought, if I could get Guinness to recognize as the world's biggest fax machine, that would create awareness. So I wrote to them and they said no. Then I took a picture of me, my team, my father, my brother, and the rest of our staff, and I sent it to them. The picture was unique enough that not only did they decide to create a category, give us the recognition, it got published in all 22 million versions of that book. And we started getting articles. Fortune magazine in the Fortune 500 issue, no PR, no marketing background, 600 articles over a few months, and 3 years later we took that company public on the NASDAQ. In fact, the same thing with the current venture. The amount of publicity and awareness, a lot of it, I believe, has to do with the identity that sticks out. I truly consider that my secret weapon. In fact, that allows others that become well-wishers for what we do to provide support. And this is, I want to bring in the concept of the Sikh Chamber. When you have people with the same set of values, that collaboration becomes essential. While we were getting attacked in India from many, many different directions, people, a certain group of people don't appreciate $40 devices. There was a Sikh fellow who is based at the UN, is India's permanent ambassador to the United Nations. And he had empathy for us. And last year, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Gurpurab, he decided to launch Akash 2 at the United Nations. 70 UN ambassadors, 500 UN staffers, and 2 Sikhs stood up in front of the world and launched the world's lowest cost tablet. This is the power of networking of Sikhs. Take advantage of it. My last slide. I thought I'd end with some other key Sikh concepts. Very, very important. One is practice nimitta. Whatever you are is not your creation. It is Guru's kripa Be thankful for that and practice nimrata. Take time and do some seva. And remember that what goes up also comes down. Generally comes down faster than it goes up. And practice this one. Practice this one with a ledger. Create a separate ledger and say, I've done my 10% in time towards the community, towards the poor or the needy, not just the community, and I'm donating 10% of my income. It's essential. My wife pushed me to start doing this one a few years ago, and I should do a chart of how things went after that. It's a true key part of the Sikhi concept. I think these concepts that are part of the Sikh way of life are integral to an entrepreneur being successful. Thank you so much.
Here we go again with the mic. Ooh. Thank you. Thank you, sir. That was very enlightening. Our next speaker is a young man who should be called Midas, because everything he touches turns to gold. He was recently on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Every Salah seems to be on Forbes these days. He was on the list for the outstanding 50 Asian Americans in business. And now he's going to be on every prospective mother-in-law's list. He's also a humanitarian, and he's raised $200,000 for the victims of the Oak Creek Victim Relief Fund. It's my pleasure to introduce Savneet Singh of Gold Bullion International.
So Sonny told me to speak for 10 minutes, so I wrote out something, so forgive me. So when Sonny asked me to speak today, I have to admit I was a bit hesitant. I personally am someone who believes in the value of experience. And I believe a lot more is learned from a life that's been lived than one that's still figuring out how to live. And so while I don't believe the lessons that I've learned in my short experience in business are valuable, they're liquid in nature, and so I believe they'll flow over time. So I thought instead of giving you, detailed lessons of what success means, I don't really know that yet myself. And so I thought the best thing I'd do is share my story, and it might provide an analog for some of you through your own journeys. And I was particularly asked to speak about Sikhism, entrepreneurship in our community, and these are subjects I'm very passionate about, so I'm going to try to weave them all together. My journey of entrepreneurship was quite circuitous. I was born and raised in upstate New York. My father was a doctor, and so it was assumed that I'd become a doctor as well. But around the age of 14, I began to question that path. It was summer break, and my brother and I were playing video games, and my dad came up to us and said, "Stop playing these games, I want you to go start working." And we said, yeah, sure, Dad. He said, no. He's like, you need to make $2,000 by the end of the summer, or I'm going to take away all your very important privileges that are given to children these days. And so my brother and I, being a little bit cocky and somewhat excitable, took the challenge. The internet had just started, and we had just discovered eBay. And we had always been big collectors of sports cards. So we went out and started selling our sports cards on the internet. And in a very short period of time, we started selling lots of cards. But unlike other children, we took our money and we put it all back into the business. And I don't know where we came up with this concept, but we kept reinvesting and reinvesting. And the business grew so fast that within 6 months, the bank teller at the bank when we went to go deposit our money held us there and called our mother and said, "I think your sons are dealing drugs." Now, I don't think that teller really understood how much trouble she got into when she called my mom and accused her children of dealing drugs, but needless to say, the bank never gave us any problems again. So if you've heard this story in a vacuum, you think it sounds just like every other entrepreneurial kid who just couldn't work for a company and wanted to start something. But mine is very different. Instead of going on that entrepreneurial journey, I went to college and I studied finance. Probably the worst subject to be an entrepreneur. But I learned to love the markets, and after 4 years and many internships, I went to go work on Wall Street at a prestigious investment bank. I was 22, overpaid, incredibly naive, and I continued on this finance path. I went from there to a great hedge fund, and I was living that prototypical young financier's dream. I was traveling the world, I was flying business class, and I wasn't even, I was 23, 24 years old. I was getting exposed to too much at a young age. And it all changed in 2008. In a very, very short period of time, my mother passed away, my job was taken away from me, and I found myself in my apartment thinking about what I should do next. Should I go back to work again? Should I go prove my old bosses wrong? Should I finally take that leap of faith and go start a company? Or should I just take a less stressful job? Working in finance is 90-hour weeks constantly, and it just takes away from your family life, your sick life. Should I just go back to a much more comfortable life? And it's a very complicated problem because you're a young age and you're making a formative decision that will last you a long time. And so what I did was I spoke to my younger brother. He's younger than me, but he's far more wise than I am. And my problem was solved in one very simple question. He asked me, he said, Sunit, he said, imagine your boss's old job, your boss's work at your old job. Do you want that life? And I said, yes. I want to make millions of dollars. I want to pick stocks all day. I want to go have a yacht. I want to go live this great life. He's like, okay, but he's like, what about the work? Do you want that work life? I said, yeah, I don't mind picking stocks and going to interesting countries and meeting CEOs. He said, okay, now imagine that exact life, but imagine you made minimum wage for the rest of your life. Now would you want that job? And I said, no, not a chance. And it hit me that I was doing that really because I was chasing money. And I've never been one about money. I don't spend a lot, I don't shop a lot, I don't really have a lot of material needs, but I was chasing money. And it was at that moment that I realized that I wanted to create something of value. And it was very odd because right at that time, I had just started coming up with the concept for the company that I'll mention shortly. But I had also received an offer from the firm that I had dreamed of working at. I mean, 1 in 10,000 kids get this job. And I had that decision right there in front of me where, guaranteed income, lots and lots of money for the rest of my life, or taking this leap of faith. And that one little conversation said, I want to go build something of value. And so my entrepreneurial journey began that day. I came across the industry that I'm in today very fortuitously. I was not in the gold market. I didn't have any background in it. I never traded it. I wasn't really involved in it. But I had seen some of the writing on the wall of the economy in early 2009, and I decided I wanted to go buy some gold. So I went out, and I said, let me go buy some gold. I want to protect my savings. I want to try to do something. When I went to do that, it was extremely hard. It was expensive. It was inefficient. And it shocked me that in something as old as gold, there was no exchange for it. I couldn't type in a ticker and buy physical gold. It was this cumbersome, inefficient process. And so in a short period of time, I met other people suffering from the exact same issue. I got together with 2 well-known investors and put together a plan to create the first ubiquitous platform for investors to buy, trade, and store physical gold. So typing in a ticker and buying a bar of gold and having it stored in a vault, but it's completely electronic, completely software-driven. The idea was a little audacious, as you can imagine, in that gold is literally the oldest asset that's ever existed, and it's avoided to be electronically traded for its entire existence. But we had a vision and a plan. Now, if this sounds easy, it was not, and it took us 18 months to get our first customer. So you can imagine the stress on a team, on a person. I'm thinking, did I make the right decision? I'm passing up all these millions of dollars. 18 months is a very long time to wait, but we persevered and we pushed through. And every step of the way, we just hit roadblock after roadblock. Your business is too young, your founder is too young, you don't have the money on your balance sheet. Roadblock after roadblock after roadblock came in our way. But instead of pulling you through this amazing journey, because it would take me forever, I thought I would try to distill the few lessons that I've learned, and again, prefacing that all that, there's one lesson I'm going to end with that I believe very personally and true, but these are what I've learned in this very short period of time. So number one, there are no rules for entrepreneurship. I hate seeing these things online. I hate going out and saying, hey, there's rules for entrepreneurship. In my opinion, that doesn't really matter. There are some people who are born to start companies and who are going to do that no matter what. There are others who work in industries for 20 years, find a great idea, and then start a company. Or there are people like myself who try both sides and then figure out what they really want to do. But there is no right formula, there is no right way, and there is no wrong way. Everyone has their own path. Number two, the single most important thing an entrepreneur must have is resiliency. And to find that resiliency, that person must have a passion for what they're doing. The reason why is because any rational person will give up this journey. It is really, really hard. You're making no money, you're losing friends. It's an extremely tough process, and you can't be rational to do that. So I think it builds a lot of character to be an entrepreneur. I think you need that resiliency. And the last thing is, the only genius in entrepreneurship is the ability not to give up. I sincerely believe that. So speaking before a Sikh audience, I must comment on how I truly believe that as Sikhs, we're almost unfairly advantaged to be entrepreneurs. And I truly believe this. We're blessed to have the psychic residue of our ancestors that resiliency I mentioned earlier. I've been lucky to travel the world as the last few years and interact with countless successful Sikhs. Everywhere I go, I'm amazed at how well we do and how far we push into politics, education, and business. And when I think back, why is this? I think it has to do with the history of our leaders, the great sacrifice they've given, even our parents. I remember being a child and telling my mother I wanted to play ice hockey, and thinking, and instead of her saying, no, sorry, you can't do it because of your bug, she went out that night, bought a helmet, cut out a little part of the helmet, so I could actually wear a helmet and play ice hockey. She created a path for me that it was instilled down deep within me. And I think those little bits of psychic residue, whether it's our gurus, our leaders, stay with us for a very, very long time. Before I end, and I'm getting close, I'll say the single greatest motivator in my life has been my dad. And it's not because he said, so you need to go study, you need to go to good school, you need to work hard. It's because he taught us at a very young age that knowledge needs to be stressed, it needs to be changed, it needs to be challenged in order for it to grow. And you have the ability to do that. Not some other famous guy, but you have the ability to do that. And when someone tells you that at a young age, it's very powerful. And so when you have that psychology of your parents and that, it's amazing. So I'm going to end with the one lesson that I think is most important. And when somebody asked me to talk, I began to think about this idea of achievement and the concept of achievement. In today's world, achievement is very personal. It's, I did this, I'm here because I accomplished something, because I worked very hard, I was smarter, so on and so forth. I took the risk that others didn't do. And much is made of this individuality of success and achievement in today's society, the unique character, drive, and ambition that's needed. These personality traits are lauded and we see them in magazines and so on and so forth. And while I give much credence to the unique DNA that I or someone else possess, much of that personality and character is a result of the fortunate situations that we've been placed in. And while I believe that I'm intelligent, ambitious, and forward-looking, I know these characteristics were born out of life situations I found myself in. I was born in the United States of America, to a family that encouraged education and challenged me. I was born to a father who set the bar high for character and success. I was born into a religion whose values correspond perfectly into the country of birth, the country that I was born in. I attended a university that opened tons of doors for me, and the list goes on and on. And while I acknowledge that DNA and personality traits are absolutely important in success, I believe had I not been given these very unique opportunities, I wouldn't be here today. And it's with that thought in mind that when I step back and ask the question of how to grow our community, my only answer is that we must create circumstance for others. It's circumstance while I'm here, not me, but circumstances put me here. And I believe that success is circumstantial. And we must open doors, push others, and remember that much of our success is a result of our culture, our family, our environment, and it's only fair to create those circumstances for others. So thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thanks, Abhi. Did any of you guys hear the music next door? Well, what's a Punjabi party without music? They're listening to CDs, we're going to have it live. This young man is a singing sensation and has the unique ability of mixing jazz, R&B, and soul with Indian classical music. His talent has taken him to the top 40 contestants on American Idol. Please welcome Gurpreet Singh Sareen.
Before I start today, I want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, SACC for giving me this opportunity to share the same stage with such accomplished, such wonderful people. And I want you to give a round of applause to all the invited guests. I truly look up to everyone here. To get this opportunity and to get the support from the entire Sikh community, it means so much to me. And I'm very thankful for my family who's also joining me today. So, thank you so much. So when I was invited to sing a song and share some of my experiences, I thought, okay, SACC, thank you. If you look at those three words up there, empower, promote, and unite, I think those three words definitely represent what we as a collective religion and culture are, the Sikh faith. It definitely brings together those three words, and I thought, okay, what song can I sing to kind of bring those words together and create this cohesive togetherness? And I thought, okay, What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. And I think it definitely signifies who we are as a religion, who we are as a culture, and who we are as a community altogether. So here's what a wonderful world. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. No, 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 no. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, yes, what a wonderful world. No, 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 no. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of people going by. I hear your friends shaking hands, say, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. No, 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 no. Nah, think to myself, what a wonderful, yes, what a wonderful world. What a wonderful world. Yeah, what a wonderful world. Thank you so much.
I think that deserves a bigger hand again. That was brilliant. I wish I could sing like that. Well, we've done business, we've done gold, we've done music. Now is a sexy cocktail of power and politics. Our next distinguished guest was sworn in as Minister of Service Alberta and service as Chair of the Families and Communities Ministerial Group. He's Minister Manmeet Singh Bhullar. Please welcome.
I'm just trying to get a hold of myself after that. So yeah, some was sentimental krata. I felt like getting up and dancing. And I was tempted because none of you all can vote for me, so I said, I don't care if I look like a fool here. Then I realized we got these Punjabi media table right behind me. And we have Valerie on Twitter. So everybody in Canada would know, Pullar gaya si, Ote nachan lag gaya. Then they'd say, Sanu da kehda hi ki main sharab nahi peena, ote glassi layi honi hai. Ithe ta kadi nachda nahi, ote kidhar nachan lag gaya. Then that lead to a whole bunch of other stuff. And, you know, Bill Clinton went through that process, and I'd have to move back to India, but I was born in Canada. So I'd probably run into the US and claim some sort of status, and you'd probably ship me off to fight in a war in Afghanistan. So I just didn't. All that went through my head when you were singing, man. What a wonderful world. So who the hell wants to talk about politics when you have guys like this here? Seriously. Everybody's like, yeah, we don't want to hear from a politician. But Mr. Jaswal here called me sexy. Yeah, man, about time. Very good. Kuch karta sanu. Now announce that all over Fox News. Canadian politician who looks really funny. Because, you know, Fox News does that sometimes. No disrespect to Fox, but they had a picture of Dixie Gurdwara in Ontario, and they called it something quite different. That was when 18 people in Canada were arrested for this so-called terrorist conspiracy that apparently didn't pan out. Yeah, I love Fox. No, actually, you know what? Power to you, brother. You're there. Awesome. Give him a round of applause. So, I don't have a speech prepared because I tend not to do that. And I figure if a politician can't get up and make fun of people for a couple minutes and then talk about something good for a couple minutes, then he's not worth the money he's being paid. And us Canadian politicians are paid more than Americans, I believe, sir. The only difference is we have conflict of interest rules. We can't start wars. I'm not going to go there actually because I want a pipeline built. We want a pipeline built. So, you know, I'm from Alberta. We've got the oil sands. And I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to turn to the Sikh community of the United States to get Keystone XL built. That was totally a joke. I know you're all Democrats. And you're probably all protesting out there, no Alberta oil. Get a life, seriously. You want it from Venezuela or you want it from Alberta? Alberta produced me. Valerie, tweet that, please. I like oil sand. ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਾਓ ਯਾਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੈ ਪਾਈਪਲਾਈਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਭੇਜਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਣਾ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀਆਂ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਰੋਕੇਗਾ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਾਲੇ ਚੰਗੇ ਆ ਯਾਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਆਂਢੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੇਲ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ Don't come to me after. I'm telling you, I'm not going to go to reverse pipeline after that. Not going to happen. You're also serious now. All right. So, you know what? Man, we're in the company of just some phenomenal great people here. I've got goosebumps. Suneet, look at this. You want to live and do the duty of a Sikh, educate the poorest, give them a position to stand up on. Empower them, Sunit's doing it. Duty of a Sikh, brother, way to go. That is living the duty of a Sikh. ਪੈਸੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਮਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ, ਗਰੀਬ ਨੂੰ ਕੌਣ ਪੜਾਉਂਦਾ ਜਾ ਕੇ? That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. The duty of a Sikh, standing up against injustice. Being firm in your beliefs. Valerie, filmmaker extraordinaire, and a voice for so many of us. Thank you, Valerie. I'm so honored to be here with you. We've got a comedy man in the house too, Manveer. You were practicing. I typically hate going before a comedian because they usually make fun of the politicians afterwards. But, have you guys heard of Just Rain, the guy from Ontario? Yeah? All right. So he was in Calgary, my hometown, a couple days ago, and I met with him before his show. And I just had to pull it Punjabi style, and I said, "Bhai, just sada tufan banaya, mud ke andar kara dena." He didn't. And Gurpreet, I swear to God, man, that just blew me away. That absolutely blew me away. But you know what else blew me away about this guy? Is when I first came and met him, he's so humble. You go check out any of those other American Idols and I bet you they don't have this humbleness. And I'll tell you what's going to separate him from the rest of them is this humbleness. Guru da Sikha. Beautiful. And if the Americans aren't going to make you number one, brother, come to Canada, we'll make you Canadian Idol in a minute. ਚੜਾਈ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ ਦੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਚਲਾ ਲਈਦਾ ਉੱਥੇ VOTING ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਵਾ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ 100 ਵਾਰੀ ਵੋਟ ਪਾ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਣਿਆ ਇੱਕ ਮਾਈ ਨੇ 100 ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪਾਈਆਂ If you play that on TV, I'm going to get in trouble, so please don't. Well, that's how they get the allegation on there. I swear to God, any single desi out there, oh, there was mass irregularities. It was like we were in India. Every single time we run, that's what they say. Every single time. People were being forced to vote for somebody, and we saw this lady in this, and the older guy said, vote there. Yeah, man, she can't speak English. 2 minutes, I haven't got to my speech yet. ਗਲਤ ਕੰਮ ਆ ਜੀ ਇੰਨੀ ਦੂਰੋਂ ਸੱਦਿਆ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ 2 ਮਿੰਟ ਆ ਗਲਤ ਕੰਮ ਆ ਨਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਰੀਦਾ ਸੀ 6 ਘੰਟੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਰ ਆਹ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦਾ All right, anyways, when I ran, you guys talk about racism, don't think we don't have it in Canada. Growing up in Calgary, me, my brother, and 3 other kids had Judah in our classes. It was rough. We got in a lot of fights, and I wasn't so big. That's why I eat a lot now, to always be big. Straight up. And there's a whole bunch of kids that cut their hair. Sir jave ta jave, Sikhi sadik na jave. It's not a statement, it's an ardas. That's an ardas, it's not a statement. I'm not strong enough to say that. That's my prayer always. And that's a prayer that I've always had to have throughout my life. When I was a kid being picked on because I had a bug. Then, life goes on, the population grows a bit, you don't get picked on as much, but you decide to do other stuff. I decided to play football. That was rough. They're like, oh no, you gotta let down your hair, there can't be all this legal stuff. And I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be any good. So I just figured, okay, well, I should play and just make sure I'm really good. I played. The first day in practice, I leveled our QB. And after that, people said, it's all right that he looks a little funny. It's all good, right? But, when I ran in my first election in 2008, I was studying law, and our premier, so governor, at the time called and said, listen, I want you to run. said, Premier, for the first time in my life, I'm having fun. I'm just a student. Because right after high school, I started doing community work. That became my life. And he said, no, I want you to run. So I played hard to get for 2 months. Then I figured, holy smokes, I'm playing hard to get, I better accept. And I accepted, and I ran. And you would not believe the racism. You would not believe it. The racism was ridiculous. People are so afraid of the bug, of the dastard. They're so afraid of it. They think it represents everything scary and evil. And you know what's so horrible? Is we all think this happened after 9/11. But Canadian Sikhs need to recognize something. This has been happening for a long time. I remember in one of my sociology classes in the 1990s, there was a study of what religious or ethnic group you least want to associate with, and it was Sikhs. Isn't that ridiculous? Those Canadian Sikhs. You know, we have a lot of population and we do well. The point is we don't get out. We don't tell our story. And the biggest issue is we're not living who we are. We're not living who and what we are. We're living like we're in Punjab, but instead we're in Calgary or Edmonton or Toronto or Vancouver. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. We're in Canada and we're in America. Why? Because of the rule of law. Because of the fact that every child can be educated and achieve anything great they want. Because in these nations, it's not through political pressure that we've had our rights. It's through constitutions that are upheld. That's why. That's what we value. Constitutions are wonderful on paper, but when the police turn their back, yeah, they're not worth the paper they're written on. Well, we all know this story. You know what's so great about America? Is last year, when the Wisconsin incident happened, those police officers may not have known who it was, but they went to defend us. They may not have known what we believed. They may not have understood where we come from. They may not understand, or they may even have been afraid of what they thought we represent. But they fulfilled their duty to defend us. And to all those Sikhs who lost people that day, hold your head up so high. So high. Because that was unfortunate and it was a tragedy. But don't forget the fact that we come from a history of warriors when there was a price on the head of every single Sikh. You know why we're successful today? It's because for generations and generations, our forefathers did something so profound, so brilliant. And so they planted these seeds that today allow us to succeed. So those individuals who lost their life that day, they planted seeds so that generations from now, Sikhs will forever hold their heads up high. And they'll never be afraid to take down the dastard. So to the American Sikhs, you know what? You guys put up with a lot. I've traveled throughout this country. And man, you put up with a lot, especially those of you that wear the dastard. Power to you. I can't thank you all enough for having the courage to wear the dastard in cities where there's maybe just a handful of Sikhs. Especially after 9/11. I can't thank you enough. You make us all so proud. You make us so proud. And you're sending signals to back home, to all those young kids who think it's not cool. You're letting them know what's up. Being cool is about being who you are. And you know what? When you get to our core, who we are is something profound. Something beautiful. Who we are is people put on this planet to help everybody and to uplift all of humanity. That's our role, that's our duty. So before I start my speech, I'd like to thank Sukhvinder, Yadvinder, thanks brothers for having us here. A friend from New Zealand. I went on a trip last year to Tahiti and Bora Bora, and I felt I needed a little bit more life, and we went to New Zealand, and within a day, some guy on a subway, like, Paji, tusi Canada to aaye hain? Tada photo dekhi tade paper, ithe bhi MP hai sada unna milana. I got the hell out of the country so quick. I was like, I came from Canada just to get away from politicians. And then we met in India, and we've been great friends. Paji, thank you so much for traveling all this way. Thank you all very much. God bless you all. Remain in Chardhi Kala. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Well, he's larger than life, isn't he? All 200 pounds of him, larger than life. Our next speaker is the mayor of the city of San Joaquin in California. Please welcome Mayor Amarpreet Dhaliwal.
Thank you, Vipin, for a very brief introduction. My name is Amarpreet Dhaliwal. I'm mayor for the city of San Joaquin for about 10 years. And I must say it's an honor for me to be here, and a humbling honor, as a matter of fact. You will see why I say that, tell you that the community that I represent as a mayor, it's a 92% Latino. Most of them are farm workers, and about 88% of them live under the federal guidelines of poverty. So for me, I'm here to listen to your success stories, listen to your ideas, your business concepts and visions that I can hopefully take back to my community and hopefully have them replicate what our Punjabi community has been able to do on the East Coast and across the nation. You know, about Punjabi community, I got an email sometime, one of those funny chain emails, you might get that too. And the heading, the subject of the email was, "You are not Punjabi." And it goes on with some caveats, conditions. You are not a Punjabi if you don't have Tupperware in your refrigerator that has a permanent stains of haldi on it. You are not Punjabi if you don't have a plastic cup or glass in your bathroom close to your toilet. You are not Punjabi if you don't take your shoes off on the front door and make your guests take your shoes off when you invite them to the living room. And there was last one that personally I was impressed by. You are not Punjabi if you don't have a cousin or extended family member or a close friend who doesn't own a 7-Eleven, a gas station, a Subway, or a liquor store. So I'm assuming everybody in here is qualified to be as a Punjabi. You know, our Punjabi community has been blessed with success. And as Manmeet said, and as Tulivirji said, all those traits that we have that lead us to success, we didn't brew that overnight. It goes as far as 500 years. And after that, Panjਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ sacrifice ਕੀਤੀ, and Sikhs grew. Hargobind Singh came by the concept of Miri Piri, a sword of temporal and spiritual strength. Guru Tegh Bahadur, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ not for Sikhs but for others, he sacrifices life. We ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ, we have to be selfless. We can do the ultimate sacrifice for others. And then Guru Gobind Singh, who set us on the stage, Khalsa Sajke, we will be able to take on any intellectual as well as physical challenge. Banda Bahadur Dubad, Jira Siga, Jinane Sikha Jalaya Avda. So every time we were pushed back, we came back with resilience and resolve. In the modern times here, in '84, Operation Blue Star, we bounced back and earned the identity on the global level that we didn't have before. 9/11. The Operation Blue and the terrorist attack of 9/11, it was a test for us. Our identity was crisis, and it might come. People like me started wearing turbans at the time just to show and stand up, tell the people that we're going to make this country beautiful, even more beautiful by being who we are. So we stood up to that. People like Valerie, they took this challenge and they walked with a campaign of awareness so all the fellow Americans can get to know who we are and what we stand for. The Wisconsin tragedy, we came back with an even harder resolve and renounced, bouncing back in the state of California. We passed 4 legislations, 2 ACRs, which declared month of November, Guru Nanak Dev's birth month, as a month of Sikh awareness and appreciation in the state of California for 2010 and 2012. Then we passed SB 1540, which will complement in education about Sikhism in the curriculum, social science curriculum from K through 12. ACR 20, which is now in the brews and is going through the committees, it will add elements of Sikh and in education about religion and philosophy classes in college level. So we have always bounced back. We have that character that was given to us by our history. Business ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਬੜੀ ਛੋਟੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਚ championship ਲੈਣੀ ਹੈ. So it's a great forum that Sunny has put together to bring our community, great idea to bring the community together under the umbrella of commerce. Our community can benefit a great deal. And Manmeet, we will support the pipeline, just because you said. And not just that, we will also keep protecting Canada like big brothers. We are the United States of America. So, I will close by, we have been able to accomplish quite a bit in business, and it's time that we now try to give this country back. I will close by a famous quote from a very famous president, one of my favorite presidents, John F. Kennedy. He said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Your country has done a plenty for us." The country has given us a playing field where we can prosper and do business. The country has given us good structure where we can build on and take the justice and liberty and justice at higher level. We can, as Prabjot and Sikh Coalition, those organizations have been doing that. So it's time to ask yourself boldly and honestly what you can do for your country. Thank you.
Our next speaker comes all the way from New Zealand. He's a member of Parliament and a founder member of the Sikh Naujawan Sabha, which focuses on getting teenagers to reach their full potential. Our next speaker is Kanwaljit Singh Bakshi. Please give a big hand.
Thank you for your kind words. Sat Sri Akal. I hope everyone is enjoying. First of all, I would like to acknowledge Manmeet for setting a very high bar. And I don't know whether I will be able to achieve it or not, but it was a fantastic speech. Can we all give a loud round of applause for Manmeet? I would like to acknowledge all the dignitaries present over here who have come all the way from their home states and join us to share their stories. This platform, which has been set up by SACC, is a great opportunity for network. सारे ने बहुत कुछ किया ਅਸੀਂ ਜਦ ਇੱਥੇ migrate ਹੋਏ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ migrate ਹੋਏ whether it was New Zealand, Australia, America. The first generation was not that educated, but now we have got young people like you and you who are educated, who speak the language of the locals. If somebody will talk to them, nobody can imagine whether the Sikh is talking or a local American is talking, which shows that we have got the local talent. And I acknowledge both of you, and I hope I want to acknowledge you also for all the work you have done and made us proud in that young age. Sikhi di pehchan jo hai, wo bahut zaruri hai. I am really proud that I am a Sikh and first member of Parliament in New Zealand, which as Mr. Dhaliwal said, कि साड़ी पहचान जड़ी है वो होनी बहुत ज़रूरी है. दुनिया बहुत बदल चुकी है, सानू गलत नज़र नाल देखा जाता है, पर साड़ा फर्ज बनता है कि जो असी कुछ अचीव किया है अपनी यंगर जनरेशन के नाल असी उसनू शेयर करिए ताकि वो तरक्की कर सकन. SACC ने जो ये प्लेटफॉर्म सेट किया है, सारी दुनिया जो है वो अमेरिका वाल हर वक्त देखती है कि अमेरिका विच की हो रहा है. Same way, this organization which has been set up, I think all over the world, the Sikhs will admire it and look forward to follow the footsteps of this organization so that they can share and give their experiences to others to get successful in their businesses. As just Mr. Dillon said in his video interview, that he was very pleased to share his experience with others about his 7-Eleven business. उस तो की पता लगता है कि अगर जेड़े तक्के मैं खाए ने मेरा छोटा भरा जिहड़ा है अगर वो सक्सेसफुल होना चाहता है क्यों ना मैं उसको गाइड करा ताकि वो ना डिफिकल्टीज विचों ना निकले जिन्हां तो मैं निकलिया सीगा. I went to New Zealand in 2001 and within 7 years I was nominated into the New Zealand Parliament. Why was that? पहली गल मेरी जिहड़ी पहचान सी जो मेरी सिक्खी दी पहचान सी उसने बहुत वड्डा ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ. न्यूजीलैंड ਵਿੱਚ जो सिखां दी आमद शुरू हुई that was in 1890, much before Canada, America and England. But we were not very successful because we were all divided. English ਦੀ ਕਹਾਵਤ ਹੈ United we stand, divided we fall. ਇਹ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹ ਅੰਡਰ ਗ੍ਰੈਜੂਏਟ ਸਨ, ਅਨਪੜ੍ਹ ਸਨ, ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੰਪਾਇਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਖੜੇ ਕੀਤੇ. We all are very successful and I thank you all for coming tonight and supporting SACC because your success story can be shared with the younger generation and that's what the aim of this organization is. Sunny, Yadvinder ji, Onkar Singh ji, I really salute you for thinking of this organization and putting up a platform where everyone can come and share the whole thing. I will cut down my speech, I won't take much time. उसको पहले मैं एक दो गल्लां आप जी नाल शेयर करांगा. मनमीत ने मैनू हुणे पुछया सीगा कितनी देर बोलना है, मैं कहा यार 5 मिनट तक बोलांगे. मैनू कहंदे कोई नहीं तेरा थोड़ा टाइम मैं ले लांगा, तैनू मैं एक्नॉलेज स्टेज ते कर दांगा. थैंक यू फॉर डूइंग दैट. और लास्टली न्यूजीलैंड ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਕਹਾਵਤ ਹੈ when you smell curry cut down your speech and go for the dinner. So I'll cut down my speech and go for the dinner. I hope everything has been done and I would also like to thank all the volunteers for their work. Without volunteers no organization can be successful and I would also like to thank Deewan Banquet Hall and all their management for providing a platform which we are going to really enjoy. Thank you very much.
But you're getting sick and tired of this. No Punjabi party is complete without a sense of humor. We have a young man who's performed across New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, to a wide range of audiences. Please give a round of applause for Mr. Manveer Singh.
Thank you. Well, first off, I do not know why we have Russell Peters from Canada when we have Mr. Buller here. I know I wanted to start off with jokes, but I did want to start off with on a serious note. I started comedy about 2 years ago, and I recently put up videos on YouTube, and I'm still trying to find my path on how to make people laugh. And it's been quite an experience and quite a journey. And I do want to apologize if I did offend anybody with any jokes that I did say online. I'm still trying to find my path, and I know it's a tough gig. So I do just want to make everybody aware I do have videos online, and I hope not to offend anybody with my jokes. Anyway, we do have a huge Indian audience here. So just with a raise of hands, can I just see how many doctors we have here? Okay. Okay. How many potential engineers do we have here? Okay. And just because this is a special occasion, how many people from American Idol do we have here? Now, Gurpreet, you've done something that none of us have done. And I do want to say, I know you did get eliminated before getting to the top 20, but you've definitely made it to the top 10 tonight. And I think you would have made it further in American Idol if it wasn't for a couple things. I saw the way you connected with Nicki Minaj. It was very smart. Mashed your pug with our hair. And I think you would have made it to the final 10 if we had another judge and it was Dennis Rodman. I think that would have worked out really well. And there's another thing that Gurpreet has taught us, is that if you feel down and you feel like the world is collapsing around you, everything will be okay as long as you own a marigold bug. I'm sorry, he knows I'm messing with him. I talked to him before. I said I'm going to crack some jokes on him. But since my time is limited, I'll move on. So everybody asks me, how did you become a comedian? How do you pay your bills? What else do you do? Well, I also work in a bank. And everybody says, isn't that vastly different? You must meet a lot of different personalities working in comedy and working in a bank. Well, yeah, it's true. On one hand, in one industry, I'm working with a bunch of people that are completely uneducated, completely broke, have no idea what they're doing in life, and the other industry is comedy. It's ridiculous. I recently found out that it depends on who I meet when I introduce myself as a comedian. When I'm meeting white people, it's completely different. The other day I had a white kid come up to me with his dad, and he goes, "Look, Dad, that's the kid. That's the kid that wants to leave business and money and wants to follow his passion and pursue comedy." And his dad goes up to me and he goes, "Thank you, sir. That's really good. You're teaching our kids the right thing. You're following your passion." I said, "Okay, great. I feel great." A week later, an Indian family came up to me. Indian son with his dad. Indian kid says, Dad, look. He's the one. He's the one that's leaving the money behind and going after his passion." And his dad looks at me and goes, "So you're the comedian. You're the reason my son wants to follow passion, not pasa." So, "I'm sorry, sir." He goes, "Well, you know what? If you're a comedian, tell me a joke." And I hate it when people do that. I hate it when people just assume and want me to prove to them that I'm a comedian. Like, if a garbage man came up to me and says he's a garbage man, I'm not going to throw garbage on the ground and say, "Pick it up. Prove it to me." If someone from Wall Street comes, I'm not going to throw money on the ground and say, "Make it disappear." I don't do that. But you know what? I do what I do because I follow my passion. I don't think twice about it. A couple months ago, I actually went skydiving. Huge lift for me because I'm scared of skydiving. I'm scared of planes. But this time, it was a very intriguing experience. Because when you get there, they basically give you 1,000 reasons not to get on the plane. And then you realize there's something wrong with you when you still get on the plane. But the whole experience is crazy because how it goes is once you get there, they show you this video of how happy everybody is before they get on. They show you how happy everybody is and everything. Before you get on, they give you this little waiver form. And on this form, it says, basically to sum up, it says, it doesn't matter if we messed up. It doesn't matter if we ruin your life experience. It's your fault for getting on the plane. Sorry. Now, I thought this was a pretty messed up concept until I thought it would be pretty awesome if I could use this in my daily life. I would have loved to use this concept before I asked my girlfriend out. I would have loved to show her a video, a life of her so happy, so fulfilled before I asked her out. And right before I asked her out, I'd give her a little form. And she'd say, what is this? And I'd say, well, it basically says, it doesn't matter if I ruin your life. It doesn't matter if I messed up your experience. It's your fault for participating. Sorry. So it's tough. It's been tough. One thing I've noticed over this past year is there's been a lot of problems, a lot of gun violence and everything. And I think the problem is the way that we approach how to solve these problems, how these crimes happen. And the problem is, I think we should start with the CIA, with the detectives that we have. I think we should discover these problems before these crimes take place. I think if we recruited better detectives from the CIA, America would be a safer place. We need to recruit people that are more intrusive, more judgmental, and have a great background knowledge of people. That's right. The CIA needs to recruit Indian aunties. If the CIA recruited Indian aunties, America would be a much safer place. When you're in the mall and you're holding hands with that white girl, who are you afraid will see you? That Indian auntie. In fact, that's what I think CIA stands for. Crazy Indian aunties. I'm scared of my mom, man. I'm so scared of her, especially growing up. I felt like every mom took a 3-step process in school on how to beat up their kids. The first step is after you get hurt, you'd come to your mom, they'd lure you in. They'd tell you they're going to fix the problem. Second step, they'd fix your problem. The third step, after they find out how you got hurt, they'd beat you so bad, it was worse than your original problem. I'll give you an example. I was with my friends in middle school and we're throwing rocks around. And my buddy throws a rock at my face, busts open my lip. I come home to my mom screaming and she goes, what happened? I go, I bust my lip open. She goes, okay, let me finish it. No, I'll fix it for you. Step 2, she fixes it for me. Beta, how did this happen? How did you get hurt? Oh, it was nothing. Me and my friends, we were just throwing around rocks. Nothing really happened, whatever. Oh, you were throwing rocks? Yeah. Do you, by any chance, have these rocks? Yeah, I can show it to you. Want to see? Yeah, sure. Give her the rock. Step 3, it's shiny. Yeah. It must have hurt a lot, right? Yeah. How many times have I told you not to play with these rocks, schmucks? Now when your mom starts rhyming random words with random styles and she starts freestyling, you're in deep trouble. My mom till this day still screams at me and says she's going to throw away my Nintendo Shendo, my Sega Shega. And I'm like, Mom, it's a PS3. I don't care, I'm going to throw it. She used to beat me so bad, man, I used to feel like I was a doll. Every time it was the same beat. Boom, 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 tsh. Boom, 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 tsh. I'd be in a little daze. I felt like the guy from Mortal Kombat was going to come out and say, finish him. It's tough, man. It's tough growing up with Indian moms, but they love us. This crowd looks amazing. You guys have been a great audience. And it actually looks quite familiar because I am from this area. I'm from Metro Park. And this area does remind me a little bit of Metro Park. And if you guys don't know what Metro Park is, it's the ultimate Indian station that people use to get to New York. It's a competition between sexy mustaches versus which uncles can wear white sneakers with their dress pants. And both groups decide not to wear deodorant. And during Hurricane Sandy, this was definitely the worst because our trains were packed. It was insane. But it's easy to say Hurricane Sandy, right? It's easy to say Hurricane Sandy because it's an American name and you don't have any trouble when pronouncing this hurricane storm. But I was just thinking, it's always a coincidence that some white person always discovers the storm. What if one day a Punjabi person discovers this? It's okay if I discovered it. They call it Hurricane Manveer. It's okay. Not bad. But my grandma, her name is Herbuns. And America would not be very pleased with Hurricane Herbuns. I'm not very sure that America could really take the storm very seriously. The newscaster would be on stage and be like, everybody be careful. Her buns is blowing all kinds of winds. We thought it was going to come in from the West Coast, but somehow her buns has cracked its way in from the East Coast. We have never seen anything as big as strong as her buns. Thanks, guys. That's all the time I have today. Thank you.
We tried to get President Obama to come in today, but he said no. Instead, we got you another brother from a different mother. All the way from the White House, it's an honor to present Mr. Radil Kabani, who is the Economic Policy Advisor for the White House Initiative on Asian Americans.
Viv, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Last night I had the opportunity to meet with a number of the guest speakers, and I found that I was a bit intimidated because the audience included ministers and heads of international affairs at big news stations. So I saw my name on the Gala speakers list continue to go down week after week. So happy to be here. Before I get started, what I wanted to do was present a proclamation that the President provides every year during Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and that is usually during the month of May. So we're not there yet, but I brought some from last year, which I still wanted to provide at the Sikh American Chamber of Commerce can place in their offices. So I wanted to provide one to Sunny, first of all, if you can come up. And then also, if everybody approves, I brought two backups just in case I lost it on the way here. So if everyone's okay, if I can provide our host with a proclamation as well. Mr. Reed. Excellent. Let's keep this off the media because relationship with Fox News. I know you work with the minority community, so it's safe here. And then, for all the great work that you've done in education, Sunit, I'd love to present the last one to you. So, please. So, before I came here, Sonia asked me to be very specific with regards to the presidential policies that have had most impact on the Sikh community, primarily in the economic policy space. So I'm definitely going to get to that and bring some substance to this event here. First, I'd like to talk about myself just for about 30, 45 seconds and provide some context into my role and what I do with the White House Initiative. So I'm currently an economic policy advisor with the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. This office actually started in the Clinton administration as a council, and then moved on into the Bush administration as an office that solely focused on the economic development of the Asian American and Pacific Islander communities, domestically and across the Pacific Islands. And this includes the Sikh community. It's generally been a very, very small office. Under the Obama administration, on October 24, 2009, President Obama reestablished this initiative. So it's an executive order that goes from administration to administration. And every administration since the Clinton administration has made a decision for this office to exist. So it says a lot about our presence and our community at the highest levels of government. So the head of this office asked me to come over in October from my private equity role, where I've spent the past 4 years, to build out an economic growth strategy for the Asian American and Pacific Islander communities. So from my perspective, this has been a really tough, challenging, but at the same time, rewarding task. And the way I'm going about it is doing what I'm doing right now, is engaging with the private sector of Asian American communities all across America, all right? And getting policy input and feedback from entrepreneurs all the way up to corporate leaders. And what I do is I take that policy input and feedback and develop very targeted strategies around those issues to solve major problems. So let me give an example. My first trip I made was out to LA, and I met with a number of representatives from the business community, from both the Korean and Chinese American communities. And I had a number of lengthy discussions with them, and the major theme that kept coming up over and over again was access to capital. All right, and that's been the broad theme from that trip. So when we got a little bit more specific there, I said, well, if access to capital is a big issue, what is it about capital not flowing into your companies or businesses that's not enabling you to do what you need to do to survive and make money? And it turns out that a lot of these guys were producers and exporters of goods, primarily back to their home countries in South Korea and China and across Asia. But the major banks obviously are focusing on their larger clients. The community banks in the area didn't really have the financial products and expertise to provide that specific subset of financial products to that community. So I saw a big hole in that area of access to capital. So what I did was I came back to DC. I said, this is a big issue for our community. We need to create a strategy around it, right? So what we're doing now on April 9th is bringing in heads of small banks that are located in highly concentrated Asian American areas all across the country, bringing them to the White House and bringing the Export-Import Bank, the U.S. Treasury Department, the Small Business Administration, and senior White House staffers to the table so they can actually help these small banks and a lot of our communities continue to lend in the most modern fashion, if you will. So one of the conversations I had here today was with Indus American Bank, and that invitation gets extended to them as well. My second trip was to the Gulf Coast and the Vietnamese community. The Vietnamese community in the Gulf Coast was ravaged by the BP oil spill, right? And seeing this firsthand really, quote unquote, slapped me in the face, and it humbled me. And I used the same strategy where I talked to Vietnamese fishermen, economic development agencies, the mayor's office, and I tried to figure out what exactly is it that we can elevate at the White House level to really help the Vietnamese community rebound from the BP oil spill. So we came back and we took the same approach, and a Gulf Coast Restoration Council was developed, right? And this Gulf Coast Restoration Council over time is going to plow money into a lot of different areas in the Gulf Coast that are integral to our community actually surviving. So getting to the Sikh community, this is why I'm here. And what I want to do is engage with the Sikh community to figure out what are the major economic issues that are facing this community, not just in New Jersey, but all across America. And only you guys can help me figure that out. So one thing I've done as a small strategy was ask Sunny to place postcards on all of your tables, the White House postcards, and they're not souvenirs. So what I'm asking you guys to do is to at least jot down one or two major issues that are key and central to the economic livelihood of the Sikh community, right? And I want to take that back with me, and I want to bring that to the White House, and I want to say, I came down to this SAC event, and there were a couple major issues that came up within the Sikh community. Let's elevate this. Let me work with SAC and figure out some strategies around it so we can solve some of these major issues. How am I doing on time? Am I okay?
You're at 30 seconds.
All right, so let me just quickly go through some of the presidential initiatives that have been crafted over the past couple of years that have had a direct impact on the Sikh community. So on access to capital and tax cuts, Sikh-owned small businesses were recipients of increased lending support in order to hire more workers and expand their companies through the Recovery Act and Small Business Jobs Act. In total, there were about 10,000 loans that were delivered. It's about $7 billion of lending support that came through these two pieces of legislation. Sikh business owners also benefited from 18 tax cuts, which included the elimination of taxes on capital gains on key investments in small businesses. Entrepreneurship, which is a major theme here today, the Obama administration launched Startup America, a national effort spawning both the public and the private sector, which basically catalyzes startups all across America with a whole range of resources. So through Startup America, Sikh entrepreneurs can now benefit from capital allocated for high-growth startups through a commitment of $2 billion as a match to private sector investment from the Small Business Administration. They can also benefit from business accelerator programs supporting clean tech companies through a partnership between SBA and the Department of Energy. Last one, just give me 1 minute. To support and promote exports, the President announced a 2010 National Export Initiative, which focuses on doubling exports by 2015 through a comprehensive interagency effort to support all aspects of international trade. This initiative will support Sikh entrepreneurs and business owners who are exporting back to their home countries with increased access to trade finance, export promotion support, and the removal of barriers to sell U.S. goods and services abroad. The federal government is the world's largest purchaser of goods and services, with purchases totaling over $500 billion a year. And Sikh-owned businesses have enormous opportunities to offer goods and services to the U.S. government. To support this effort, the Obama administration launched the Interagency Task Force on Federal Contracting Opportunities for Small Businesses. Now, this task force creates a number of different strategies to get minority communities involved in the government contracting and purchasing space. Going forward, President Obama has developed a comprehensive plan for his second term, building on progress from the first term to continue to strengthen the middle class to make a stronger America. The Sikh community is a direct beneficiary of the major themes in the President's plan, which includes making America a magnet for jobs, equipping Americans with skilled education and job training, building ladders of opportunity into the middle class, and cutting the deficit in a balanced way. And these themes in the President's plan has direct impact on the Sikh community. And my ask to you today is to get involved with my office through the chamber so we can continue to elevate these issues to the highest level. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So, last speaker, right? Many of you will remember last year we were all sitting here facing another direction, and we learned about my Banquet. The inspiration for a young girl to break boundaries, to chart her own path. After our event, many of you came up to us and said, "Who is this Valerie? I want to talk to her." And she was a celebrity just like American Idol when she stepped out of that stage. Her words resonated with you. They were an inspiration for your daughters. And I think that night last year, we were all inspired. This woman came to us and motivated us. She inspired us. She asked us to do more, to be more, and to unite. I am privileged tonight to introduce to you my dear friend, Ms. Valerie Kaur. She is an inspiration, an award-winning filmmaker, a civil rights activist, an interfaith leader who centers her work around the power of storytelling. She is a third-generation Sikh American, born from California, your home state. She received her undergraduate degree at Stanford University and her graduate degree from Harvard Divinity School and Yale Law. She is the founder of Groundswell, a nonprofit initiative with over 70,000 members that equip people to mobilize for social change. She also founded the Yale Visual Law Project, where she makes films and trains students in the art of visual advocacy at Yale Law School. She makes films with her partner in crime, both personally and professionally, with Sharat Raju, on hate crimes, racial profiling, immigration detention, and solitary confinement. She is a prolific public speaker, as we all noticed last year, and frequent political contributor to MSNBC. Her essays appear on CNN, The Washington Post, The Huffington Post, and New York Times. We are very fortunate tonight to be able to preview her latest project. A short, now this is Indian Standard Time, people, and I know we're already running late, but this is short, I swear it's short. Film about Oak Creek, a story that features the Sikh spirit of Chaddi Kala. In the wake of the Oak Creek tragedy, Valerie helped lead relief efforts through organizing, filming, and reporting on national media. Recognized internationally as a standout figure in the world of interfaith, organizing, and activism, one of the most exceptional speakers and thinkers of her generation, and listed among 13 national faith leaders to watch in 2013, a Sikh American. Friends, please join me in giving a very loud round of applause to my friend and an inspiration for all women, Ms. Valerie Kaur.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. It is such an honor for me to be here with you all tonight. Kam, thank you for that really breathtaking introduction. Sunny, thank you for making the Sikh Chamber of Commerce possible, to all the volunteers, to all of the staff, and sincere thank you to all of the esteemed guests who were on the stage tonight. It is a true honor to have been able to share the stage with you. It has been 1 year since we gathered in this very space, and in this last year, our community, the Sikh community, has experienced a time unprecedented in the history of our community on U.S. soil. The tragedy in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, was the single greatest tragedy in the history of Sikhs in America. It was also, most likely, the greatest race-based mass shooting in recent American history. I remember, do you all remember watching the TV set when it happened? Those were our aunties and uncles on that screen. Those were our brothers and sisters. Those were our children caught in the gunfire. And I remember sitting there. I had spent a decade working on civil rights issues in our community, a decade with my partner, Sharad, capturing the hate crimes against our community, starting when Babir Singh Sodhi was murdered in front of his gas station after 9/11. And all of these 12 years, watching the hate crime unfold on national TV, a friend rang the phone. It was a Sikh brother, and he said, "Valerie, nothing has changed. In all the work we have done, nothing has changed." And I was about to agree with him when the phone rang again. And then again and again and again. My phone was ringing off the hook, and it wasn't just Sikhs who were calling me. There were Jewish, there were Christian, there were Muslim, there were Latino, there were African American, there were people all across the country who were reaching out to us. Do you remember this when your neighbors turned to you, your employers and your employees, your teachers of your kids at school, how they turned to you because they saw what had happened on TV and they recognized that we were hurting? I remember just in the hours after the tragedy happened, Sharad and I were on the ground to do seva in any way we could, and we witnessed something extraordinary. We witnessed the spirit of Chaddi Kala in the boldest form you can imagine. In just hours, we saw the young people of Oak Creek, Harpreet, Kamal, Prabjot, Amardeep, We saw these kids who had just lost their mothers and fathers find the courage in the midst of tremendous grief and sorrow, turn to the sea of cameras and tell their stories. Not just about what happened on that Sunday morning, but have to talk about who we are as a community. They were incredibly bold, incredibly courageous. I remember just 3 days after the tragedy, the FBI handed the Gurdwara back to the community, and here, the mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles, people who were still grieving, rolled up their sleeves, stepped into that Gurdwara, turned on the Gurbani, and began to pull the carpets out of the floor, carpets that were still soaked in blood, began to repair the windows, began to paint over the bullet holes in the walls. And as I watched a community rebuild itself before my eyes, I wandered into the Langar Hall, and there were the portraits of Guru Nanak, Guru Gobind Singh, Baba Deep Singh fighting with his head in his hand. There was Mai Bago. There they were. We had inherited a history of saint soldiers, a history of resilience, and we were embodying it in the most beautiful way possible. I remember just a few days later, it was Friday when we had the memorial, and we saw casket after casket after casket come out of those cars, and as they pulled the cloths back, there were the men and the women that looked like us, looked like my uncles. And my heart was about to catch in my throat when I turned around and realized that there were 3,000 people behind us. And there weren't just Sikhs, there were people of every faith, every color. And I remember on Sunday, the first Sunday after the tragedy, this is 1 week after this Gurdwara, this crime scene had been transformed back into a Gurdwara. The community opened its gates in the spirit of Chardi Kala, let everyone in. They played kirtan, and we stepped outside and they raised the Nishan Sahib. And that was the spirit of Chardi Kala. Harpreet Sani, the young boy, was 18 years old when his mother was gunned down in the Deewan hall. 18. He had just graduated from high school. He was a shy kid. And so when all of this was happening, as we were there watching him, he kept his voice quiet. He was grieving, he was shaking. And he took me aside and he said, he and his brother, Kamal, said, Valerie, sometimes we get angry, we want to take revenge. But then we look around and the Sangat saves us. Guruji saves us. And so this young kid who was saved by us, by our love, had the courage, working with the Sikh Coalition and partners like Groundswell and Saldef, to take his story of grief and courage all the way to the halls of Congress. Last September, Harpreet, you just saw, became the first Sikh in U.S. history to testify before Congress. And when he told his story, the whole room came to tears. And he asked the senators, I'm here to stop violence not just against Sikhs, but against all people. Sarbat Tapala. I turned around, and in that Senate hearing room, just like at that Oak Creek Gymnasium when they held the memorial, there were hundreds of people. And they weren't just Sikhs. There were African American, Latino, American Indian, Jewish, Muslim. There were LGBT leaders in that room. They showed up for us. They said, we have a stake in your fight. They said, your fight for civil rights in this country is bound up in a greater movement for civil rights and human dignity in America, and we will stand next to you. It's been a half a year since Oak Creek. It's important for us. The reason I really wanted to be here with you tonight is to say that it's not just important for us to remember Oak Creek. It's not just important for us to tell other people who we are. It's important for us to embody the role of saint soldiers that our gurus gave to us. If LGBT folks, African American folks, if Latino and American Indian folks can stand up for us, it is time for us to stand up with them too. What would it mean if we took seva outside of our Gurdwara? What would it mean if we fought not just for our community, not just for Sikhs to wear turbans, but for LGBT people to come out of the closet? What would it mean if we started struggling for human dignity like our gurus taught us for all people? And you know what? Opportunities are right before us. Just this week, Adil, am I right? Where are you? From the White House. There you are. President Obama asked us not to remember the heartbreak of Newtown, didn't he? He said, we have gun violence legislation pending in Congress. It's time not just to stand up for Sikh worshipers on a Sunday morning, but also for African American youth on the streets of Chicago, also for Connecticut children on a school day. It's time for us to stand up to end gun violence in America. And we can do it. We can add our voice. We can become champions. Just this week, the Supreme Court is hearing 2 historic cases on marriage equality. 2 historic cases. People are saying this is the civil rights cases for our generation. Where are we if Sikhs don't show up? Can we imagine Sikhs coming out for marriage equality as part of the greater struggle of equality for all of us? And very soon, the president's agenda, it's immigration reform, right? Comprehensive immigration reform. That directly affects our community, but we need to be sure that whatever comprehensive immigration reform passes is also good for all of our Latino brothers and sisters too. What would happen if we stood right by their side and said, we are with you, just like you were there for us? You know, my grandfather, my Dadaji, came to California by steamship in 1913. 100 years ago, this month, he sailed by steamship to California. Mayor Dalival, you know my family. We've been there for a long time, right?
Your dad was my first employer.
Talk about an entrepreneur. My father was the mayor's first employer. Well, my Babaji, I heard stories about how he farmed the land, how he slept in barns, how he saved up enough money to eventually buy his own farm, how he waited for the Asian Exclusion Acts to fall away so that he could finally become a citizen, go back and marry my grandmother. And you know, out of all those stories, the story that inspires me most is what he did during World War II. During World War II, during the Japanese-American internment, all of his Japanese-American neighbors were forced into trains onto concentration camps. And my Dadaji looked after their farms. Many Japanese came back, they had lost everything, but Babaji looked after their farms, and he even got in his horse and buggy and went to visit them in the internment camps. My Babaji may have been a farmer, but to me he was a saint soldier. And he was a saint soldier not just because he stood up for us and our community, stood up for Sikhs, but he was a saint soldier because he stood up for the Japanese Americans, because he showed me how to stand up for all of us. And my grandmother, who died just a few weeks ago, my grandmother, when I was born, all of the neighbors sent condolences. You know, the aunts and uncles, they all said, so sorry, next time it'll be a boy. And my grandmother, next to my Dadaji, said, no, she is our diamond. There was a falcon who came the day she was born. This is a good omen. They taught me that I could walk the path of a saint soldier too, that our girls are just as valuable as our boys. That all of us, girls and boys alike, can learn how to wield our sword and shields. What are our sword and shields? Our sword and shields are our law degrees. There are business degrees. There are the trainings we go to. There are film cameras. These are the ways that we can fight the good fight. These are the ways that we can walk the path of our gurus. And we are not alone. All of you who have children at home, they're not alone anymore. You have so many role models. I just want to lift up the Fox News. When we give, we receive. Sunit Tuli asked us to think about Sarbat Dabala, all people. How can we give to all? Savneet Singh talked about the psychic residue of resilience, which I loved. Gurpreet, when you sang It's a Wonderful World, you were lifting up wonder, Vismad, Guruji's wonder. something I think we need to remember as we walk every day. Manmeet Bular, you, in your spirit and in your speech, embodied Chardikala to me. And Amarpreet Dhaliwal, Mayor, you asked us the question, what can our country, not what can our country do for us, what can we do for our country? Kanvaljeet Bakshi, the refrain that you gave us, united we stand, divided we fall, is actually the name of our last film. I agree with you. And Manveer Singh, he taught us that we can chase passion, not pasa. In Adil, you showed us that our president has our back. We are not alone. We are not alone. So I want to encourage all of you, whether you enter business or politics or the arts, medicine or engineering, that each of us can find ways to take Seva into new, uncharted territories, that we can find ways to stand up for others, just as they have stood up for us, that we, in fact, might be able to imagine a day where Sikh Americans are known for our turbans, our identity, not just as a distinct people, but as champions for civil rights in America. Imagine if there came a day when a Sardar is walking down the street and an average American looks at Manmeet or Gurpreet and says, there goes a saint soldier. There goes someone who stands for social justice. That is the world I want to bring my children into. And I believe that if we all work together, this is the world that our Gurujis imagined for us. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
There was another one to remember, wasn't there? Thank you. Now, we should just keep you up here. You're wonderful. I absolutely adore her. So, you all made it. It's the end of the night. We're almost done, and we thank you so much. We know it was long, but I'm sure you all agree with me. It was definitely worthwhile. We're down to our awards, and we are very pleased to honor some very, very talented individuals, not just our speakers, but entrepreneurs that have really set a standard for our community. I would like to, at this time, call up the Board of Directors of the Sikh American Chamber of Commerce to hand out tonight's awards. I'm looking at the table. Now they all don't want to come up. You can tell this is not a political arena. Tonight's first award, and probably the one that is most meaningful, not that they all aren't, but the one that truly resonates and should with all of you, is our Entrepreneur of the Year. Now, this is a man who is truly doing what we should all do. He is giving back, and he is being successful at it. Tonight's Entrepreneur of the Year, Sunit Singh Dali. While we have you up, Sunit, we also have an honorary award. You get a lifetime membership to the Sikh American Chamber of Commerce for being a presenter tonight. That's a valuable award. I'll bring it to your table. We have our Community Excellence Award now. So, bringing awareness to being a Sikh and doing it with a marigold turban. Now that is talent. And we are pleased to present the Community Excellence Award to Gurpreet Singh Saran. We pass the award down the line. Group hug. Now we get to our young guns, right? The guys that are up and comers, or girls. The ones that have that vision and know where they want to go and look to all of you to help them get there. We have our Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Savneet Singh. And no, he did not give me any gold in the winning of this award. I tried, believe me, I tried. And our rising stars. We have two of them. They are both up and coming, bright, have that shrewd and sharp spirit, and they know where they want to go and they know how to get there, and they're looking to you to make sure that you support them as they get there. Varinder Singh and Inderjeet Singh. Come on up. And yes, Auntie G's, they are single still. Just putting the word out. Bacholan, they make good money. Now that's an industry. I have bacholan.com registered. Just letting you all know. We'd like to thank our dignitaries for coming out tonight. Frank Pallone Jr., who came, see, he obviously did not know this runs on Indian Standard Time. He was like, oh, this is a late night. We would like to thank Preeti Lamba, if you could please come on to the, oh, where did my membership go? We're not done. See, I'm not done. You might as well take a seat. We're gonna be up here for a while. Yes. And Vincent, if I could get you to come up as well. The councilman from Helmetta, thank you so much as well for joining us. Preeti came from Toronto, Vincent came all the way from Helmetta. I know distance is short and long. Pictures? Perfect. Big round of applause, everybody. Almost done. Perfect. Any closer to the corner and I may fall off. Big round of applause, everybody. Thank you so much. To our speakers, wow, weren't they wonderful? They were absolutely exceptional. I didn't notice the time going, even though they all ignored my sign cards. Every single one. Some of them went under, some said, hey, we're not even listening to you. That's okay. Okay. I would like to first start with our MC for the night. He did a wonderful job, and even though he works for Fox, he is absolutely wonderful. Mr. Vip, come on up. So we've already had Savneet and Sneet up, so I'll just hand those to you, because I see everybody is like, where's the butter chicken? Where's the shai paneer? We want to eat now. So we're going to just skip by you, and we're going to ask Mr. Kanwaljit Singh to please come on up and get your award. All the way from New Zealand, everybody.
we're going to have Mayor Amarpreet Singh Dhaliwal come on up, all the way from California. Everybody give him a big round of applause. To mini Punjab in India, in the US. Next, to my fellow Canadian and comedian resident in the house, Manmeet Singh Buller, please. Oh, he's awarding us?
ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੇਣ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਲੈਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਪਾਈਪ ਐਗਜ਼ੈਕਟਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇਲ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੇਣ ਹੀ ਆਏ ਆ
So since we know Adil, do we get like a secret line to the White House and the president? Like, is there a phone number we can call now? Ring, ring, White House. No? Your personal line? Maybe we should call your house? Call you? Okay, we'll call you. Well, Adil is now all of our BFFs. So feel free to call Adil at any time. Adil, come on up and thank you so much. Careful. To Manveer Singh, a man with a dream. What Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. Follow your dream, Manveer. You will succeed. Come on up. Careful. That would have been a new joke. And Manmeet would have been the first one to say it. And to all of our dear friend and inspiration, Ms. Valerie Kaur, no other words are necessary. Careful. Where's that waiver form you talked about, Manveer? And to our platinum sponsor, Just Punjabi, thank you for supporting us. Ms. Pani Sandhu, please come on up. We appreciate everything and anything you have done this year. Yeah. Penny and our dear friend, Mr. Riyad, who does not watch him every night? I know we do, for being an advocate for us on your show. Come on up. Just Punjabi, our platinum sponsors, and without whom and their numerous ads, you probably all would not have known so well about the SACC. Thank you. Almost done. Almost done. I know. Everybody's like, that's it. Peace out. Okay, so we're done. We want to thank everyone who helped support the SACC during our first year. All of our distinguished guests, all of our speakers, for being an inspiration to our community. To our members and sponsors, especially the Platinum sponsor, thank you for your support. To the administration and leadership team. So everybody, how about these guys who had a dream, had a mission? Give them a round of applause. They are the ones that took a dream and made it a reality. They deserve the true applause. To Jagjit Singh, come on up, buddy, where are you? Jagjit, come on up. Everybody gets calls from Jagjit. Come on, guys. To Ankar Singh, Jasbir Singh Chandi, Yadvinder Singh, Harpajan Singh, Gary Pasrishta, Suktej Singh, Tanbir Singh, Inder Singh, and Dr. Devinder Kaur. Thank you for believing.
And thank you to Kam Kaila for leading us. A big round of applause for Kaila.
Oh, come on. I did not pay him, and he has not given me any gold. Savneet does not give that to us. Thank you, everybody. You are a community, you are united, you are strong. Please join us in making it even stronger. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing all of you at next month's networking event. We will make sure we have enough space for all of you. Have a good night, and see you next year.